Hello. This lesson here is 10.2 notes. So we're going to be talking about simple interest. Um, simple interest is based on the entire amount of the loan for the total period of the loan. So the simple interest formula looks like this. We have an I equals PRT. I is interest. P is principal, so the amount that you're loaning or the amount that you're putting down. R is the rate, and then T equals time. And normally the rate is percentages. And of course, before we put it in the formula, we have to convert it to a decimal. And it is most of the time, it is an annual rate. Time meaning 1 year. And we're going to look at different options here once we get to the example. But first, we're going to look at Banker's rule. So we all know that we have in our calendar year, we have 365 days. And then for the leap year, so every fourth year, we have 366 days. But Banker's rule is actually a little bit different. So 1 year equals 360 days. So remember to use that 360. That is the Banker's rule. 1 year equals 360 days. Now, if we are looking at a fractional part, so just part of a year, so fractional part of a year is the exact number of days of the loan. And we're going to look at examples with that as well. So let's go ahead and look at these examples now. We're going to determine the simple interest. So we're going to be using this formula here. We're answering the interest earned. We have the principal listed, we have the annual rate listed, and we have the time listed. So for this first one, all we need to do is convert this 1.92% to a decimal. And again, remember when we are converting to decimals, we are dividing by 100. And when we divide by 100, we're moving this decimal point 2 to the left. So it goes over here and we put a 0 in front. So it's 0.0192. We're dividing by 100 here. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate the interest earned. So we have our principal, $425. We're going to multiply that by the rate, which is 0.0192. And then we're going to multiply that by the time, which here is in years, which is 6. And now, of course, this is not something you're going to be doing in your head. You've got to put it in the calculator. So 425 times 0.0192 times 6 equals, that is $48.96. And that is the interest earned. Number 2, we have our principal is 2,500. So we're going to write the 2,500 here. Now our rate is 3 7/8%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator. 3 plus 7 divided by 8. It's 3.875. So 7/8 is 8.875. And now I'm going to divide by 100. Of course, move the decimal, so it is 0.03875. So I divided, I divided the 7/8 and I added the 3 to it. So 0.03875 times our years, which is 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. So I already have that right here. I'm just gonna multiply. It doesn't, since we're only multiplying, the order doesn't matter. So I'm gonna use that same rate so that I don't make a mistake again. And then multiply by 2,500 times 2, and I get $193.75. Next one, we've got $6,712. Our rate is 6.72%. Again, we're dividing by 100, so we're moving the decimal point 2 to the left, and we need to add a 0 in between. So 0.0672. Now, here comes the tricky part. So we have 2 months. This is an annual rate, so this is per year. So now we need to figure out what the 2 months is as years. So we have 12 months in a year. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide this 2 by 12. So 2 months over the 12 months, which is the year. So then we get, the fractional part of that year. So I'm going to use this. I'm not going to do the division until I'm actually putting everything in. So I've got 6712 times 0.0672 times 2 divided by 12, which is $75. Okay, and now we only have cents. So we're going to have to cut it off between 7 and 4. 4 is less than a 5, so the 7 is going to stay as it is. So our answer here is $75.17. That is 17 cents. Now, number 4. So our principal is $1,025. Our rate, again, is 6.2%, so we're going to move that decimal 0.62. Now we have 90 days. So, and actually these need parentheses. 90 days. Remember the banker's rule, 1 year is 360 days. So we're going to do the same thing as we did here. We're going to put this 90 over that 1 year, which in this case is 360. Do not remember, or do not forget that it is that 360. It's easy to forget and then wonder why is my math app not taking my answer. So they're using 360 days. Okay, let's go ahead and calculate. So 1025, oops, not a 85, times 0.062 times 90 divided by 360. And so again, we're looking at cutting it off between 8 and 7 because we only have cents. Now 7 is greater than 5, so we're going to have to add a 1 to the 8 since we're rounding it. So 15.89. $15.89 is our answer. Okay, for these next ones, I highly recommend you pausing the video and working on them, trying them on your own, and then continuing to watch if you did them correctly. So I'm gonna keep going on here. So principal is $675. Our rate is 2.83. So that would be 0.0283. And then we have 4 years multiplied by 4. So 675 times 0.0283 times 4 is $76.41. Next one, we have $3,000, 3 1/8%, so that, again, the 1/8, 1 divided by 8 is this, and then we're adding the 3 to it. So that would be 3.125%. And then we're moving the decimal 2 to the left. So 0.03125 times 3. Yeah. So 3,000 times 0.03125 times 3 is $281.25. Next, our principal is $5,500 and our rate is 0.0583. We have 4 months, so this is the 4 divided by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. And then, not 2, 5,500 times 0.0583 times 4 divided by 12. 8 and 3 is less than 5, so we're going to leave it as 8. So it is $106.88. Number 8. So we have $1,000. Our rate is 7.2%, 0.072. And 180 days, again, 180 days divided by 360 is what we are using. So 180 divided by 360. And when we do the calculation, we get $36. So that's it for that first page. Now we're going to move on to page number 2. We're still using the same formula here. Okay, next example. Again, or we're still determining the simple interest. Now, watch the wording. So our principal is still, or is 41,864. Our rate here is 0.0375% per day. It is not an annual rate like it was on here. Here it says annual rate, meaning the rate is 1 year. This one is per day. So what we're still going to do is we're going to move that decimal 2 to the left. So it's going to be 0.00375. And I need to double check this. So I have 5730 and then 2 to the left. Yes. So there are 3 zeros here. So now when this is per day and this is 60 days the time, we don't need to convert it. We're just going to use that 60. And we're not converting it. So then when we put it in the calculator, 41864, I lost the 6 somewhere, 64 times 0.000375 times 60. You can see how easy it is to make a simple calculation mistake. Just not hitting, the correct numbers. So if you get the wrong answer, check what you put in the calculator. 941 and 94 cents. There we go. Okay, next one. We have $30,000. Our rate again is per day, so 0.000215 times 300. We don't need to convert this because this is per day. And when we do this calculation on the calculator, we get $1,935. Next, we have $25,000. And again, per day, 0.000175. Make sure that you have enough zeros right there and that you're putting it in the calculator correctly as well. Per day, so this is going to be days, so we don't need to convert it. And when we do this calculation, we get $3,937.50. Next, we're going to determine the missing value. So notice that here on all of these, we have the interest earned already. So for this first one, we're looking for that annual rate. This is where solving linear equations comes in place. So if you have not, if you don't remember how to solve linear equations, then now is the time to, go back and look at that part. So we still are using the same formula, I equals PRT. For this first one here, we have I, so we have $82.80. That equals P, $1,725. We don't know our R, so we're going to keep that as it is. And then, and again, you need to check, this is an annual rate. We have 3 years, so this is times 3. Okay, so what we need to do is we want to keep the R on one side and all the other numbers on the other side. So what I'm going to start this by is I'm first going to multiply actually these two numbers here, because then I only have to move one. So 82 and 80 equals 1725 times 3 is $5,175, and then we're multiplying that by the R. We don't need to have these parentheses because we know that there's a multiplication anyways. Okay, so now, yeah, there's a multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite, which means dividing. 5,175, and we're dividing it we're dividing both sides so that we do whatever we do on here, we do on the other side as well. So the number itself, the number divided by itself is a 1. So we end up with 1R, and we don't write that 1 in front of here. You can, but it's not normally written. We know when there's R that there's 1R. Okay, so 82.80 divided by 5,175. And now when we're dividing by a larger number, we're going to get a decimal. And of course, we need to have a decimal because it's the rate. So our rate is 0.016. Now, we need to convert this into a percent. And I'm going to flip these around and put R equals. And when we're converting it, we're multiplying it by 100. So we're moving the decimal 2 to the right, so we get 1.6%. So our answer here is 1.6%. Okay, let's look at number 2. So our interest here is 30. I'm actually going to leave those dollar signs off $37.80. It'll just leave one thing less here. P, we don't know what that is. R is 2.1%, which is 0.021. So 0.021 times 135 days. Now notice it's days, so we need to convert it to a year. 135 divided by 360. Again, the banker's rule, 360. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate this here. So I have 37 and 80 here. P times 0.021 times 135 divided by 360. And I get a decimal. 0.007875. I'm not going to round it at this point. Now we want to divide by this decimal both sides. So we're dividing 0.07875 and the same thing here, 0.07875. And these cancel each other out, or they become a 1. So we have 1p. And now there's a trick to this. You can take the or type in 37.80 and divide it by this. But I could also take take the reciprocal of this. So x to the power of -1 and multiply that by 37.80. And I don't have the point, decimal point. There we go, 80. And I get $4,800. Now, you need to be very, very careful if you're using that. So what I did, because we are dividing by this number, but I had it up here, I flipped it. So I took a reciprocal of it, and then I multiplied it by this. If I do it, and don't do it unless you're sure what you're doing, 37.80 divided by 0.007875, that equals 4,800. So I would just, to be on the safe side, type in all those numbers. So $4,800 is our answer. Okay, we've got one more. Number 3. Again, we have our interest earned, so $64. I'm going to leave the decimals out and the dollar sign. I'm just going to write the 64. We have our principal, which is 800. Again, leaving the dollar sign out. We know our interest, so this is the point. Decimal point is here, so it's 0.04. 0.04. Notice that I like to kind of make sure that I'm doing it correctly before I do it. And then our t is what we're looking for. So we're going to do this multiplication first. 800 times 0.04. We get 32. So 64 equals 32t. We divide by 32 both sides. This becomes a 1. So we get t equals 64 divided by 32 is a 2. So our time is 2 years. Okay, that's it for the simple interest, 10.2. Let me know if you have any questions. But that's it for now. Bye.